The Niagara University Founders Award was established in 1988 and is presented to friends and members of the university community as a symbol of our respect and admiration. It is named for the Vincentian feast day that marks the official founding of the Congregation of the Mission by St. Vincent de Paul in 1625. Today's recipient is 2012 alumnus and my former student, Mr. Samuel Goodwin. Mr. Goodwin, please join Father Marr at the front of the stage. The citation will be read by our Vice President of Athletics, Mr. Simon Gray.
19th century Vincentian and founder of the St. Vincent de Paul Society, Blessed Frederick Ozanam once wrote, "Peace of heart. Without it, no good can make us happy. With it, every trial, even the approach of death, can be borne." These words surely resonate with today's honoree and commencement speaker who, unjustly incarcerated in a Syrian prison, credits his survival to a peace of heart inspired by his faith in God. A native of St. Louis, Missouri, Sam Goodwin arrived at Niagara University as a freshman student athlete in the fall of 2008. A member of the university's Division I hockey team, Sam completed a bachelor's degree with a double major in communication studies and French, and a minor in international business. He also participated in NU's study abroad program at the Catholic University of Lille in France, where he eventually returned as a student advisor in their international relations office. Following graduation, Sam moved to Singapore, where he co-founded a multiplayer online gaming company called Shift Runner. He also served as the head of investor relations for a regional NGO which operated a range of not-for-profit development initiatives in Southeast Asia. Between 2012 and 2018, this organization assisted more than 25,000 under-resourced families in the Philippines and Cambodia with programs in education, sports, and leadership. In 2019, at age 31, Sam completed a years-long goal of traveling to every country in the world, joining an exclusive group of only about 100 people in history to do so. Sam's experiences overseas span a wide range, from teaching English in Tanzania to coaching the North Korean national hockey team in Pyongyang. When Sam entered what was supposed to be a politically stable region in Syria in May of 2019, he was apprehended by a government militia and unjustly detained in a clandestine prison. He endured more than 9 weeks of imprisonment, including solitary confinement, a sham trial, blindfolded interrogations, and ultimately, a dramatic release. He has spoken extensively about how he learned to embrace the unknown and the efforts it took to manage and survive captivity. In 2020, Sam returned to his hometown and completed a master's degree in international affairs at Washington University. Today, Sam serves on the board of multiple advocacy organizations and is often invited to speak about his experiences to businesses and other groups across the U.S. and beyond. In the fall of last year, Sam began pursuing a doctoral degree in international affairs at the Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies in Washington, D.C. In recognition of Sam's extraordinary achievements in areas academic, professional, and athletic, and especially his steadfast clarity in the face of terrifying uncertainty, Niagara University is proud to bestow upon him the University Founders Award.
Thank you, Mr. Gray, and congratulations, Sam. I find it hard to call you Mr. Goodwin, so if you will kindly take the podium, it is my honor to invite you to deliver this morning's commencement address.
President Marr, Dr. Borgstrom, Athletic Director Gray, trustees, distinguished faculty, the entire Niagara family, Thank you and good morning and congratulations to the NU class of 2023. When I began putting together content for this commencement address, I wasn't quite sure where to begin. And then I had what I thought was a brilliant idea. I would just think back to what was said at my own graduation. This proved to be a very short exercise because I don't remember anything my commencement speaker said. So clearly I was going to have to look a little bit harder. At 34 years old, I'm a long way from old and wise. I don't have everything figured out. In fact, I feel like I'm just getting going. But I can say that I love what I do today, consider myself fortunate for the experiences and the perspectives that my journey so far has afforded me. So I've compiled a short list of 5 stories and messages I've learned along the way that I think might be helpful to you too as you go out into the world. Although these lessons were learned through my experiences in different places, I can assure you it doesn't matter where you've been, where you've come from, your gender, your age, your circumstances. The opportunity to succeed and have a positive impact applies equally to us all. I believe that what starts here today can change the world. So let's go. Number 1, I spent the majority of my childhood and teenage years playing competitive hockey, and in 2008 achieved a lifelong dream of mine of playing Division I in college, which is primarily what brought me here to Niagara. My senior year, however, I suffered a serious concussion injury. I had fought similar injuries throughout my playing career, but this one was different. It forced me to visit neurologists around the country in search of answers, but none of them were able to offer much. I was diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome and went on to have a persistent headache every day for 8 months. I missed the majority of my senior year on the ice and sat around helplessly as my life's dream was ripped out from underneath me. As anyone who's had this type of injury knows, literally and figuratively, it's a dark time. There was at least one bright spot, however, that I'll never forget. My roommate at the time was also a teammate of mine, Rob Martini. We lived together in a small 2-bedroom apartment above the chiropractor's office just up the road. Every single day for 8 months, as I was often laying in bed, curtains drawn, lights and TV off, eyes closed, Rob would open my door and say, "Hey man, just checking in. How you doing?" This may sound elementary or insignificant, but Rob's daily consistent check-ins are potentially my best memory from this dark time, and meant enough to me then that I'm sharing it with you all today. A life of competitive athletics has taught me a lot about the world. Particularly though, I've come to understand that our teammates, the people we choose to surround ourselves with, can determine as much as 99% of how successful we are, how well we overcome challenges, how we think, and frankly, who we become as a person. A few years after Rob and I graduated, I was the best man in his wedding, and today am the godfather of his son. I should also mention that not only was Rob there at my door every day during my concussion recovery, but he's also sitting here in the audience today. Niagara relationships run deep. For the graduates here today, in a world where you can surround yourself with anyone you want, choose to surround yourself with people who open that door and check on you when you feel like your life and dreams are falling apart. Choose your teammates and the people you associate with carefully, and always ask yourself if you are surrounded by people who are igniting your life to be the best it can be. Number 2, after graduating from Niagara in 2012, I had an opportunity to help launch a tech startup business, a type of venture that is inherently risky. To make things even more precarious, it was based in Asia. At 23 years old, shouldn't I have finally been doing something a bit more steady and stable, I thought to myself? Well, it turns out no, and I went for it. I moved to Singapore, and I often say that 4 winters in Buffalo drove me to move to the equator, and immersed myself amongst a team of entrepreneurs, oftentimes wondering whether I was going to get my next paycheck based on how the company performed month to month. After 6 grueling years of pushing the entrepreneurial rock up the hill, of building a team, of managing self-doubt, of a lot of wins and a lot of losses, the business didn't grow to be the next Amazon, Salesforce, or Uber, which led me to wonder if all the risk and effort was just a waste. Well, it was not a waste, and I know this to be true for several reasons, but one sticks out today. For those 6 years, every meeting I went into, I was the dumbest person in the room. This was uncomfortable, but simultaneously a time of huge personal and professional growth. And none of it would have been possible had I not said yes and taken that risk. One of the biggest challenges that I think early 20-year-olds face today is a poor relationship with time. What I mean by that is this. All of you graduates here today, you could do nothing right for the next 15 years and still be young. Now, I know you're all going to do lots of things right, but take risks. Be creative, think critically, make mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. You don't have to be reckless or irresponsible, but this is the time to figure out what you want. Every graduate here today is talented and well-equipped, but do you have the guts to be uncomfortable and take risks? It's sometimes said that being an entrepreneur means living a few years of your life in a way that most people won't, so that you can potentially live the rest of your life in a way that most people can't. Whatever entrepreneurship or ambition means in your life today, take those risks and make the next few years those years. Number 3, at the end of 2019, I completed a years-long goal of mine of traveling to every country in the world, something that I've learned only about 100 people have ever done, and a journey that actually began as a result of a study abroad program I did in France while here at Niagara. Travel teaches us many things, like how to let expectations take a back seat and replace stereotypes with real experiences, and I recommend all of you doing as much of it as you can. For me, however, travel consistently reinforced what I consider to be the most underrated virtue: gratitude. We always have something to be grateful for. A few years ago, I traveled to the remote village of Al-Haf in eastern Yemen. For the past decade, Yemen has experienced a tragic humanitarian crisis with nearly 22 million people on the brink of famine. Through a translator, I spoke to a local woman, a mother of 5 children, and she told me that if the situation didn't improve soon, she was going to have to decide which one of her children to stop feeding. I could unfortunately stand up here and share a similar breed of stories from many places around the world, but the point is that for all of us here today, I think we can so easily forget and take for granted the many daily luxuries in our lives. The problem or the challenge that I think a lot of us have with gratitude is we lack perspective. And I'm trying to get people to practice reframing their perspective, especially when facing challenges and uncertainty. To the graduates and class of 2023, use gratitude as both a foundation and a launch pad in all that you do. Being content and grateful for what we have and not envious for what we don't have, while still being ambitious, is a different way to think about being satisfied. Number 4, my travel journey was a remarkable experience and one I wouldn't trade for anything. However, like any worthwhile venture or endeavor in life, it wasn't without its challenges. Perhaps most notably, in the summer of 2019, while I was in Syria, a string of miscommunications led to the regime taking me hostage and imprisoning me on suspicion of being an American spy. I spent 2 months in captivity, which included solitary confinement and psychological torture as they sought to figure out who I was. Part of me believed I was going to be killed, and probably in a pretty gruesome way. In that cell, everything had been taken from me. My material possessions, my communication, my freedom. But no matter what, I knew there was one thing that could never be taken: my faith in God. And I would have been in a completely different situation without it. U.S. government and intelligence officials told my family they would never see me again alive, because historically nobody ever comes out of a situation like that in anything other than a body bag. After 9 weeks of persistent prayer and action toward a peaceful resolution, I was freed and became and remained the only American civilian that they've ever released. Today, my family and I remain openly in awe of the way God revealed himself to us through this experience. To the class of 2023, I hope and pray that the Vincentian values you've all been exposed to here at Niagara stick with you as you go out into the world. Niagara is where much of my Catholic faith was cultivated. I enjoyed attending Sunday evening Mass at the chapel on campus where Father Marr's brother often celebrated the service, or at St. Peter's just around the corner on Center Street. Now, if there's anything in my speech today that I'm 100% sure about, it's that anyone who's looking for spiritual direction from a Niagara University commencement address will be much better served not by 2023, but instead by 1982, when the person who was standing at this microphone was Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa and I actually have the same birthday, but I think that is the extent of the parallels I can draw. I believe the best I can do is this. For the graduates here today, if you think you want to do any of the things that you think I've done, then do what I have done and stay close to God. We could be held hostage by anything: alcohol, drugs, illness, relationships, finances. And at some point in your life, you will probably feel this way. But when you are at your lowest point, when you feel abandoned or feel isolated or trapped inside your own proverbial prison cell, reflect on this. We are never less alone than when we're totally alone with God. Finally, number 5, which brings us to today. Last year in 2022, I was accepted into and began a doctorate program at Johns Hopkins in Washington, D.C., studying foreign policy and international relations. It's a privilege to be part of a renowned institution and be surrounded every day by some of the world's foremost thought leaders and decision makers on the cutting edge of driving positive change. I'm in the thick of the program right now and still have quite a hill to climb before I hopefully walk across that stage as you are all about to do on this stage this morning. Virtually everything I've done in the past 11 years since leaving Niagara, from starting a company in Singapore to traveling the world to in my mid-30s going back to school to pursue a doctorate, has been rooted in one thing: curiosity. If the most underrated virtue is gratitude, the second most underrated virtue is curiosity. I think many of us suppress our curiosity by just going through the motions, and we miss little things that can change the world. Curiosity is the most consistent source of innovation and worldly contributions, and a lack of it is why I believe so much upside is often left on the table. Graduates, as you move forward today, instead of saying no, say maybe and see where that takes you. Because the world belongs to the curious. To the class of 2023, today is a day of celebration. You are moments away from graduating and becoming alums of Niagara University, moments away from beginning your life's journey, and moments away from beginning to positively change the world. It's going to be a challenge, but you are the class of 2023. If you choose your teammates carefully, if you're not afraid to take risks, if you channel gratitude, if you stay close to God, if you always remain curious, if you do these things, I believe the next generation and the ones to follow will live in a world better than the one we live in today. Congratulations, all my love to you, the NU class of 2023. Thank you so much. Go Perps.
Thank you so much, Sam, for your remarks. What a remarkable role model you are for all of us, and I am so proud to have had the honor of being your teacher.